Hello my friend and welcome to this month's Good News Show, and if the headlines lately have felt like nothing but wildfires, heatwaves and droughts, I'm here to be your little oasis of good news to help you escape all of that. In fact, some of the best defences against wildfires and droughts come from nature itself, and this month I've got a few of those stories to share with you. If you're new here, I'm Sam and I make videos around good news and solutions to some of the world's biggest problems. And if you've been here before, you know I always love to see you, and tapping that like button is a free and easy way to help get more good out there. So let's get into it. Here's some good news from August that you might have missed. And our first story starts with this. It's one of hundreds of green strips of land that survived a wildfire which burnt everything around it. And the solution might be something you don't expect. See, in 2020, the Mullen Fire tore through the Wyoming-Colorado border, the biggest wildfire in the state's history. But when researchers looked a bit closer at the damage, they noticed a patch that seemed unharmed, and it was thanks to one of nature's best engineers, beavers. Beavers had dammed Bear Creek, slowing the water down and spreading it out into wetlands, and all of that water kept the plants too wet to catch fire. So while the forest on either side turned black, the beaver ponds became a refuge for wildlife. Scientist Emily Fairfax has studied this across some of America's biggest megafires and found that 89% of beaver-dammed waterways acted as fire refuges, compared to just 60% of rivers without dams. And it's not only fires that beavers help with. In Devonshire, England, beaver wetlands are staying lush right through a drought that's left the rest of the countryside parched. And that's because a single beaver pond can hold around 1 million litres of water, released slowly to keep the rivers alive. Beavers were almost wiped out for their fur, but now they're back doing the work of a firebreak and reservoir all at once. And beavers aren't the only animals on firefighting duty. Over in Spain, a herd of more than 60 rescued donkeys is helping prevent wildfires in Catalonia. The non-profit Tivissa Donkey Firefighters rehabilitates abandoned and mistreated animals, then puts them to work clearing forest undergrowth, eating dry grasses, trampling vegetation and keeping firebreaks clear. Research suggests that grazing animals can be an effective and relatively low-cost way to reduce wildfire intensity. And as Spain faces increasingly destructive fire seasons, the project is reviving a very old solution, managing the land with animals before vegetation becomes fuel for fire. So these donkeys aren't just getting a second chance at life, they're helping protect entire landscapes too. So that's the animal kingdom pulling its weight, but all of this relentless sun does have a flip side, because it's a reminder of just how much power we can pull from it. And right now, the world is doing exactly that, as we've just passed a big milestone. More than 3 terawatts of solar power are now installed across the planet. If that number means nothing to you, here's the way to picture it. Just 1 terawatt is roughly enough to power the whole of the United States, and we've got 3 of those. But the staggering part is the speed. The first terawatt took almost 70 years for us to reach, the second took about 2 years, and the third took just 19 months. And that momentum is showing up everywhere. Great Britain just had its biggest 6 months for new solar in 15 years. In Germany, wind and solar outgenerated fossil fuels for the first time ever last year, and China's going even further, planning to grow wind and solar generation by 53% in 5 years, and making its renewable targets legally binding. The shift away from dirty fossil fuels is real, and it's speeding up. Now, as the world heats up and photos of parched farmland get thrown up on our news channels, there's a big worry that we won't be able to feed ourselves on dried up farmland. But last month, I travelled to rural Senegal, where the Sahara Desert is spreading into farmland, to meet the women proving that fear wrong. This is Darul Qudus, where years of failing rain left the ground hard and cracked. But today, there are rows of vegetables where there used to be dust. So, how did they do it? First, the land. For a long time, women here have been shut out of owning land, but here they're helped to secure plots of their own. Then, the greenhouses. Solar pumps use water really efficiently, sending it straight to the roots using free, clean energy, and the greenhouses shade the crops so they can grow all year round. And then, arguably the most powerful tool of all. Every woman who learns to farm passes those skills on, creating an expanding ecosystem of women farmers. Across Senegal, women grow 80% of the country's food, yet get the least support and the least land. And as heat climbs past 45 degrees Celsius in parts of the country, there's real fear that land like this stops feeding people, a fear the whole world now shares. But this work by Our Legacy Foundation, set up by Oulimata Sarr, shows that there's real hope, and they've got a goal of supporting millions of women farmers into the future. For our next story, we're heading to London, where a new plan could bring long-lost wildlife back to the city's rivers. And one day, some of those waterways could even become safe enough to swim in if those darn water companies decide to stop dumping sewage into them, their little rascals. I was away for work in Senegal, so I sent my team to London to meet the mayor and find out how the city plans to bring its rivers back to life. Over to you, Anna.
Thanks, Sam. London has over 600 kilometers of rivers, but right now, not one of them is assessed as being in good condition.
Every day, the equivalent of nearly 2 Olympic swimming pools of sewage-polluted water enters them from misconnected properties alone. And now, Mayor Sadiq Khan has launched London's first Clean Rivers and Waterways plan, bringing together more than 50 organizations to transform the city's waterways over the next decade.
The plan is to reduce pollution, restore 80 kilometers of river, and create or improve 550 hectares of habitat.
Over the next couple of years, you'll see these 10 locations improved, a combination of safe, good quality swimming, a combination of improved access to local communities, a combination of improved sustainable urban drainage, a combination of improving the connections from some pipes from homes that are sending stuff that should be in the sewer pipes to the rainwater pipes. So those improvements you'll see over the next couple of years. Over the course of the next 10 years, you're going to see the cleanest rivers and waterways in the world.
That also includes plans to reintroduce beavers and water voles in suitable locations while creating healthier habitats for fish and other wildlife.
The vision is for London's rivers to become thriving spaces again, full of wildlife, better for communities, healthier for generations to come. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Anna. So this next story takes us to Mumbai in India, where a floating barrier is stopping tons of plastic before it ever reaches the sea. A huge amount of ocean plastic is carried out to sea by rivers, and once it's in the open water, it becomes much harder to remove. So Plastic Fisher decided to tackle the problem at the source before the waste ever gets that far. Their solution is called a trash boom. It's a low-cost floating barrier with a net underneath that catches plastic at the surface while fish and other aquatic animals can still pass below. It's made from locally available materials, can be repaired by local teams, and doesn't need heavy machinery to install. Together with Planet Wild, they've now installed their biggest system yet across a 42-metre wide storm drain in Mumbai, where it's expected to stop at least 10,000 kilograms of plastic from reaching the ocean every month. And this isn't just a test. Plastic Fisher has already installed more than 65 of these systems across South and Southeast Asia and stopped around 2.5 million kilograms of plastic from reaching the sea. So every month, the Planet Wild community helps fund projects like this one to clean up oceans, restore ecosystems, and protect endangered species. And the team documents the impact right here on YouTube, so you can actually see where the money goes. Think of it like crowdfunding for nature. I've been a member for a while, and I also got to meet up with the Planet Wild team last month for something special that's coming very soon. If you want to support them too, the first month is on me for the first 100 people who sign up through the link in the description or this QR code. You can contribute whatever amount feels right and cancel at any time. If you want to see them in action first, check out their full plastic mission linked at the end of this video. So for this next story, we head to Portugal to hear about Julie, the last circus elephant in the country, who's become the first resident of a new elephant sanctuary, giving her a permanent home after nearly 40 years in captivity. The African elephant was taken from the wild in the 1980s and spent decades performing in a circus. Now she's settling into the Pangaea Elephant Sanctuary in Portugal's Alentejo region, where she can explore a natural landscape at her own pace, receive specialist care, and enjoy simple freedoms such as roaming, foraging, and bathing in the mud. The sanctuary sits on more than 400 hectares of open countryside, and in the future, it hopes to welcome other elephants retiring from circuses or living alone in zoos. It will stay closed to the public so Julie and the elephants who join her can settle in without crowds or pressure. Her arrival also marks the end of wild animals being used in circuses in Portugal, and while many elephants across Europe are still waiting for a better future, Julie's new life shows that change is possible, and that more of them could soon get the safe, spacious retirement that they deserve. And staying with good news for animals, France has just delivered a big win for endangered species, ending all imports of hunting trophies from threatened animals. The country had already banned lion trophy imports back in 2015, but the new rules extend protection to a much wider range of species, including elephants, rhinos, and leopards. France is also bringing in a positive list, setting out exactly which non-domestic animals can legally be kept as pets, to stop unsuitable wild species ending up in people's homes. It's a big step forward, and conservation groups are hopeful that other countries could follow France's lead. Now to a story about giving wild places room to breathe again, and for this one we're heading to Wales, where the RSPB has bought 96 hectares of land, reconnecting a rare Celtic rainforest landscape for the first time in almost 60 years. The land, called Gasht y Bear, was the missing piece between two split halves of a nature reserve in Carmarthenshire. It's full of ancient woodland, rare oak forest and peat bogs. Now that it's one connected space again, wildlife like pied flycatchers, cuckoos and pine martins can now move freely across it, with room for rare hen harriers to return to. The RSPB now plans to survey the land and work with local farmers to show that nature and farming can thrive together. And something super cool happened in the US this month as America's first public nature library opened in Colorado, allowing people to borrow outdoor equipment like tents, fishing gear and backpacks alongside books. The 33,000 square foot library sits beside 140 acres of open land and was designed to make exploring nature easier for people who may not have the equipment, knowledge or confidence to get started. Visitors can join workshops with park rangers, explore nature labs and gardens, meet animals like goats and bees, or head straight outside onto the surrounding walking trails. Powered by geothermal heating and more than 300 solar panels, the library combines learning with real outdoor experiences, giving more people the confidence and opportunity to discover nature for themselves. For our next stop, we're heading to Germany, where one town has turned its public spaces into a giant garden filled with fruit, vegetables and herbs that anyone can pick for free. Known as an edible city, Andernach launched the project in 2010 with more than 100 varieties of tomatoes. Today, everything from apples and strawberries to pumpkins, herbs and even bananas grows around its medieval walls and castle ruins. There are no fences or complicated rules. Residents and visitors are simply invited to take what they need, making fresh produce more accessible and helping people reconnect with how food is grown. The initiative creates jobs too, including opportunities for people returning to work after difficult periods. And with other cities now looking to follow its example, Andernach is showing how public spaces can feed people, support nature and bring communities together. Before these last couple of stories, I want to give a big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube community who help me produce these videos and shine some light on solutions and people fighting for our planet. And for the price of a cup of coffee each month, you can join the fight against all of the doom and gloom on our news feeds, help me make more of these videos, get access to exclusive content and get your name in the videos too. To support, just visit my Patreon right here or tap the link in the description down below, or simply scan this QR code if that's easier. And if you don't even want to leave YouTube, I've also set up YouTube memberships, so you can just tap that join button down below to become a supporter over here instead. Whether it's $2 or $10, every little bit helps. And whether you're a supporter on Patreon, a member, or simply watch these videos, you help us create a platform where we can not only showcase amazing solutions, but sometimes get to visit those solutions too. And recently, your support took us to Leeds to hear about a story about recovery and how a simple idea is helping people rebuild their lives. This bar of soap is doing way more than cleaning your hands.
It's reducing crime and grime at the same time.
This is Chris Sylvester, and his story starts a long way from where he is now.
My introduction to heroin and addiction started as a 12-year-old child in high school toilets, and that introduction to heroin at such a tender age shaped my future. It kind of opened the doors to 26 years of active addiction. So that's hospitals, jails, institutions, homelessness, until I found recovery at the age of 36.
Chris wanted to use his journey to inspire change and launched Getting Clean, a UK non-profit using soap making to support people recovering from addiction. He runs therapeutic workshops where people with lived experience learn to make natural, harsh chemical-free soap from scratch, but it doesn't stop there. The soap funds litter picking, wildflower meadows, community repair jobs and pathways into employment, all led by people rebuilding their lives.
So I'm Dougie. I celebrate my 5 years clean time. Not only is it a working environment, it's a family.
In the UK, nearly 70% of employers say they wouldn't hire a former addict, but Chris is helping to change that stigma. And 50% of Soap for Hope profits goes to helping other community groups tackling addiction all around the country. And it's proving that recovery doesn't just change individuals, it can rebuild whole communities. Our final story is about a new EU law tackling something that's getting harder by the day. knowing what's real online. So the EU has just started enforcing its new AI Act, meaning that AI-made content has to now carry digital markers so it can be detected. Chatbots now have to tell you when you're talking to a machine and not a person, and deepfakes have to be clearly labelled. It's one of the first laws in the world built to stop AI being used to trick people, giving us a right to know what's real. And if a company breaks the rules, people can now report them straight to regulators. And on a similar note, one of the biggest names in music has been pressured to take action too. Spotify is finally cracking down on AI musicians, and from mid-September, any act whose identity is generated by AI will carry an AI persona label on its profile, in search results, and on playlists. Crucially, they'll be blocked from Spotify's recommendations unless you already follow them. It's a real win for human artists. Spotify pulled 75 million spam tracks last year as AI-made music flooded the platform, and real musicians have been quietly losing streams. So this latest move, pressured onto Spotify, gives real artists a fairer shot at being found. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching, and tap the like button if you've enjoyed this video. And if you came across good news I didn't feature, or just have some personal good news from the last month, drop it down in the comments below, as I'd love to hear it. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, my friend. Bye!